So let's continue, and the last thing which we need to do here is introduce the error message, and this can be done very quickly. So I copy this one from my example, which I already set up in another project, and move this stuff more to the right. So here. So this is basically for us because this is a very weird issue and we might not know what is going on. And for that we say error try to access invalid track name, and then we use the name. So here's the bone name basically. Add frame, so that we also know which frame is used. So here we have a clean error message in my view. If you don't like it, please change it and let me know. And also for editor scripts or so, I'm using print to the log, and print to screen you can uncheck because this will not work in the scene view anyways. And then we will have the stuff in the output log. So, and the last thing which I need to say is don't use this one. And don't use this node. It's so confusing because it does an interpolation for us and it's not the proper locations. Don't use this one. We will introduce a custom function here. So what we can do now is introduce a new function and say get raw bone transform. Sadly, there is no function for us exposed to blueprints that we can easily use it, and it's a pure function which we want to implement, and we will need a few parameters because I want to save you some time even if the session is quite long, but this one took me very long to figure out what is going on because I was working with the poses and set the health object and so on, and then kind of it messed up in some poses and I did not know why, and then I figured out that this node does an interpolation and it's not mentioned in the documentation. So don't use it if you want to have very precise keyframes. So we continue on our function here. So we need to introduce some parameters. So the first one is the frame index. No, not frame, it's an integer. And here we just say frame. The second one should be the anim sequence. And the last one is the bone name. Name. So we get the function here, and I think we should reorder the arguments a little bit to have the same signature basically, so we can just move the stuff here. And how I do is press the control key and then drag and drop it to the animation sequence, so it's still not the same order, but now we can have the same order. And the bone name and the frame, let's move the frame to the last one, and the return value should be a transform. Value transform. So we can say goodbye node, don't use me. It will mess up your health object locations. So how can we implement this stuff here? As I said, this took me quite some time to figure it out. And what we do now is promote this to a local variable. And we can ask the animation sequence get raw track data. And you might now see already why we have to introduce a custom function here, because that's the only way in Blueprints to access the data, sadly. And here it might not be the efficient way, but we don't care about performance, to be honest, here, because normally we don't have many frames, or we wait more for the user. So here we call this variable index, say get, and we need to say here make transform, and return this one, and also select the connect the execution path. So, and here for this thing as well, get reference. So we don't check if we're out of the bounds of the array, because this is done before for us, before we call this function, so it's not needed here. I mean, if you change something, you need to take care about this stuff here. But this is more so that we can read it more easily, and I think we can just duplicate these ones here, connect them, and align everything. So yeah, compile, save everything. And why is it gone? Wait, I think I did something wrong. Oh yeah, sure. If we don't say which tractor we want to use, it will not work, of course. So it should work as before, but it's now more precise. So here we can set the frame 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. If we use 10, it will go back to 9. So this is more precise, and it's the correct one. And I think we will end the session now here and move on to place the health object at the correct locations. And there we will use a very nice approach to then set the bone locations for the handgun bone. See you in the next session.